Erika Henningsen, who plays Jinny on the great Netflix series, the four seasons. I love the show so much. I gotta say, I never had seen the movie until I heard about the show. So I guess like just in general for you, when you were approached about the show, like, what was your relationship with the material, or did you like kind of had you heard of the movie? Did you go back to watch it? I was just mostly curious, but yeah, where'd you start?
I had no knowledge of the movie because my parents are a bit older. My parents are like in their late 60s, pushing 70. So I don't know if it like skipped them. And then so it wasn't passed down to me the way that like parents will pass down movies to you. But I did, it was on Amazon for like a brief week
Okay.
during auditions. So I went and watched it. And I'm not gonna lie, I like had to tape it really quickly the next day. So I watched it just to get a sense of style and then was like, okay, that's all I have time for. I have to like memorize the audition sides. But the movie, I mean, it was so clear to me why Tina was attracted to doing an adaptation of it. Because I think what I've noticed in her work is like she's herself become a mother and gotten older, a fascination not just with like the comedy of life but the way it lives side by side with the drama of life. And I do think like what the show accomplished was really writing that line so beautifully of when something tragic happens and then your friend makes an inside joke that you all laugh at because you're just like that's the only thing to do. So I was really excited just from the audition scripts that I got because I knew it was in the right hands because I think she just has that like the acuity for comedy obviously. But the more that I've watched her work like evolve over the last couple years of knowing her and also just being an admirer from afar, she has like an interest in digging into that relationship stuff even more so.
Yeah, how did that feel to come back to get to work with her again on this and like kind of get that call to be like, hey, I want you to participate in this show with all these other great people who I'm friends with. It's like really cool, I would imagine. But
It's
yeah, like
really cool. Yeah, there's like a video on my phone of I was at dinner in LA with my husband and like I got a phone call from her, which again is just like the Tina touch that she would take the time to call me personally. And I just like started crying immediately. Because I mean it's like the biggest opportunity I've ever been given, but also because I was getting to do it with her and I just respect her so much and trust her. Like I just kind of walked onto set and I felt a lot of nerves because I was working with all these incredible people, but I didn't feel not taken care of. Like I was very aware I was like, these are incredible writers and EPs and they will literally not let this fail. Like it
mhm,
may not be for everybody, but they will not let this project and our work in it fail because they're just not those people.
right.
So to reunite with her where she was my boss as an executive producer was incredible. To work with her on the other side of the camera, that was new. I like still don't know if I really like processed it. But we had this like one of our scenes, one of my favorite scenes we did together was this little scene in episode 8 at Nick's funeral. And it was just like that day was just wild. It was an all skate, so we were all there, and it was just so fun to watch Tina work as Tina the actress when we did her coverage because it just made me realize like, wow, she is so precise, and like she can take the way she says one word differently, and it can change the whole line reading. And like I've known that from working on her scripts for a while, but to see her do it with her own words is like a whole experience entirely.
That's one of the things I love about the show and like your performance, and obviously it's in the writing too. But like, I think this, Ginny could easily be like punchline, like or like there's a lot of different ways you could see this a younger woman character like kind of coming in and
Yeah.
throwing off the dynamic. And I guess like it never goes there, but it's also funny, like you said, like you're able, like you're not laughing at the. I don't know. I just found like the nuance really great as a viewer. So I guess for you as an actress, like how, yeah, like how do you find that nuance in there?
Especially in this, obviously with things like 30 Rock, she was writing jokes, like hard, fast jokes with punchlines. But stuff like Mean Girls, so much of what's funny about it is just playing the like deep, honest reality of the situation. And it's so funny reading the scripts for Ginny. Like it's been really interesting for people who have watched it to be like, oh my God, like you totally didn't do the stereotype. We love that because that was definitely a goal. But then for people to be like, but you're also very funny. And I'm like, oh, that's very interesting because like to me it was all like serious as a heart attack, which I think is which is what is funny about it, is you're like, this girl like has no idea. It's the situational comedy of it all. Like nobody's playing anything for jokes. We're just playing like the reality of these incredibly awkward situations. I knew that in order for the characters to all be interesting, was not just me, was that she couldn't be this stereotype of like the silly young like flippant girlfriend, or unaware girlfriend. It was really important to me, A, because I wanted to make sure that people liked Steve's character, and that they could feel conflicted about the other characters not liking Jinny, that she remained somebody who was never a victim. Like, it was really important to me. It used to say in the script after she saw Lila's play that she ran out of the theater crying. And I was like, I just like don't think she would do that. Like, she's 32 years old. This is an 18-year-old girl. So it was things like that where it might have looked different on the page, and we would just sort of talk about it and fine tune it and be like, what is the least victim-y way to play this? And for me, that was always like, she can be hurt, but she can't let it bring the night down. And like, she can't let it ruin the friend's experience. Like, so that to me, that episode was always really important, to be like, she needs to watch this play that is like really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, really pull some punches at her. But like, she has to have the EQ to walk away and go, yeah, well, it's just an 18-year-old kid whose dad just got divorced from her mom. Like, of course she hates me. Like, what are you talking about? So that was always at the back of my mind.
Yeah, like, can you talk about like working with Steve to like make sure that it works so well as it does? So where you're like, even as a viewer, like, man, he seems really happy. Like, they're having a good time. Like, it's not like, you know, it's like you're conflicted too watching them, because you're like, oh, well, maybe this was the right choice for him, even if he went about it in ways that shouldn't have.
I'm so glad that like the chemistry read on, because you just never know. Like, obviously, like, I loved working with Steve. Steve is like the nicest person in the world. Like, people say like nicest man in Hollywood. I'm like, maybe in the world, but you just never know. Like, you never know, like, is it going to be captured on screen? Are we going to get the takes that like show it to the utmost? So I'm so happy that people not just buy it, but like are invested in it or like care about it. Because I think like we've definitely seen relationships with that age gap, but do you believe that they really loved one another? And I think what's really smart about the show is that we don't have too many breadcrumbs. We have like little snippets of it. But I think what was really important, and I've had friends who have had relationships that have lasted a long time, and I never understood. And then they got married and had kids, and you just realize like, you can't ever really know what's going on in a couple unless you're inside of it and part of that duo. And I think that was really smart, was like, we gave Nick and Jinny enough to buy the relationship. But I think what is so smart about episode 8 is so much of her frustration and sadness is like realizing the friends don't get it. And that's not wholly their fault, because you can't know the intimate life of two people unless you're one of those two people. But it's like, it's that frustration of, you have no idea like what this love was. I feel like that was what was the undercurrent of that explosion, was not just, you guys didn't let me speak at the funeral. It didn't really have to do with that. It was, I feel like you are not seeing this thing that meant a lot to both of us. Steve and I would sort of talk and like would check in before things. So much of what was great working about with Steve was like, I think there was just like a very baseline trust. And anything that was like the photos we took together, or things where we're like going out to the club, it was just like, we formed a language of like, I'm gonna do this. Is that okay? Great, let's do it. Trying to keep it like as comfortable as possible without overthinking it, the way that you would with your real partner. It's just like, you create a version of physical contact. And the one thing we did talk about was how does it change based on who's watching them? So the way we interacted in the fall scenes when we're on a college campus with his ex-wife and his daughter is very different than summer or winter, because we're not monsters. We're not going to be like public displays of affection. Child and ex-wife. So that was sort of like calibrating who can see us and when are we aware of how we're acting in front of people and when are we not.
Tina and Coleman, like all of them have to play like longtime old friends, and like that they're like friend. Like I know Tina Will Forte obviously have a great like longtime relationship, and she worked with Steve before, so all that is like they're playing friends, and maybe there's a natural chemistry there. You're coming in, obviously you know Tina, like you said, and like you're playing a friend. You have to be like I was just like it's such a tricky chemistry balance because you're involved with all of them, but you're not their friends, but you are kind of after this time, right? Like by the time we get to winter, you've been with them on vacation, so you have some kind of connection. And I guess can you talk about like how you thought of that working, fitting into the group, I guess, and how you found the nuance of that chemistry?
It's really interesting. Well, I'm a person who like needs to be best friends with everybody immediately. And that's just like because I come from a theater background, and that's just not how it works on set. There's just not time. You're not in rehearsals from 10 to 6 every day. So it actually was really helpful because that sort of the cast is amazing. We've gotten very close. We actually got very close in Puerto Rico because we had that theater experience where we were together every day. But I actually I enjoyed feeling a bit like because Coleman and Marco have known one another for a long time, and Tina and Will have known one another for a long time, and Tina and Steve, it was actually kind of nice to feel a little bit like an outsider because it just allowed me to be a little on edge of what I said, just wanting to fit in. And I remember coming home from set one day and telling my husband, like, I don't always feel, I'm starting to get a bit more relaxed on set. And he was like, I think that's good. And he was like, but I think that feeling nervous is so helpful for the character. So it was one of the few times where normally I hate feeling nervous or feeling like the new kid, but I actually tried to lean into that feeling a little bit because I think it was helpful.
I was kind of thrilled the show's coming. If it ended this, it was a great one season, but I was so glad it's coming back for a second season, which I know now we can talk about. So I guess like Jinny seemingly would be some fact. I guess like so. What are you excited about? Maybe thinking about for the second season and how having Nick's child it presumably would impact their relationships with Jinny. I guess like whatever.
I mean, I think what they did so beautifully was the way that they ended episode 8 with Carrie saying she's pregnant, I think was such a smart choice because I'm really happy it didn't cut to me after that because the story's it's not about like, whoa, Jenny's pregnant. It's about this woman extending an olive branch to, in this moment, being like, yeah, like, and welcome, like, life happens that way where like tragedy strikes, people leave, and then people come into the world. And it just felt so correct that Anne would be the person to deliver that news because it sort of creates a vibe with the whole friend group of she's accepted it. She's not upset about it. She's maybe a little like surprised and like, my God, this is a dumb 32-year-old. How did this happen to me? But she's okay with it. She's letting her sit at the table with that knowledge. So I guess my hope would be I think the one thing that we didn't really see in episode 1 was I think the friends weirdly learn things from Jinny, not because she's teaching them lessons. She's just kind of existing and it's having them look at their own lives. But I do think there are things that I think she is ripe to learn things from this friend group. And I'm not quite sure what those are. I just feel like there are moments especially between her and Anne, if she's about to become a mom, Anne's been a mom, and I almost hope that the relationship between them is sort of like a new couple because I think they both can provide something for the other as Anne is about to probably maybe enter the dating pool again or just think about sort of this new part of her life, and Jinny is doing something that she's definitely not equipped for, and Anne has gone through it already. So that would be my hope. I have no idea if that will happen, but I just love Carrie so much. So I'm just trying to manifest scenes with her. And I loved being on set, even on the days I wasn't called, but we were upstate in Beacon. So if I could, I would swing by because I just loved watching this cast work. So that was where like the newbie status did come out to play on those days because I was just like, can I just watch? But I was okay with that. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pretend to be too cool for this. Like, I want to watch Coleman Domingo do his work.